Zenda Farms Preserve was a dairy and beef farm that operated into the 1950s. Its agricultural history is preserved for future generations to discover, and is now a model for land conservation through community involvement and learning. Since 1985, the Thousand Islands Land Trust has helped safeguard the regional landscape of the Thousand Islands, which includes their stewardship of Zenda Farms Preserve.
Hey everyone, ABC 50's Josh Bond here, hanging out with Rebecca Dahl from Zenda Farms. Thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Thanks for having us.
Can you give us a little background about Zenda Farms and how long it's kind of been around here in the area?
Absolutely. So Zenda was actually named in 1915 by an actor by the name of James Hackett. He was a Shakespearean actor of Canadian descent, and his favorite role was the 1913 silent film Prisoner of Zenda. So he named the property for that role of Prisoner of Zenda. He named it Zenda. And the name of the property continued as the property changed hands. So in 1939, a gentleman by the name of Merle Youngs purchased the property and decided that he wanted to begin a dairy farm. And that's why we have our 9 silver James White barns here now, is because of Merle Youngs. And keeping the heritage of Zenda, he decided to name the farm Zenda Farms.
You said it's changed hands a couple different times. How many times has it changed hands, and what's the operation life like for the farm now?
Sure. So James Hackett owned it again in 1915. It was sold to another woman after James Hackett's death, and then was purchased by Merle Youngs. After Merle Youngs passed, he left the property to his one of his closest friends and business partners, John McFarland. And in 1997, John and his wife Lois Jean McFarland donated the property to the Thousand Islands Land Trust. So we've owned it since 1997.
And it's still a fully functioning and operational farm, correct?
Correct. So it began as a dairy farm in 1939, and then in about the 50s, 60s, it transferred into being a beef operation. It was a little more financially stable to be a beef operation then. It did fall out of farm use a little bit in the 60s and 70s, right at the main campus near the barns, but has continued to be farmed on some of the extension property, and the fields have been hayed ever since. And now that we're trying to reinvigorate Zenda with some new sustainable agricultural activities, we are farming the property along with Coyote Moon Vineyards. We have 2 acres of grapes planted, and we'll be making a Zenda Farms wine. And we are working with Homestead Heritage Cheese out of Lafargeville to make a Zenda Farms cheese to bring back some of that sustainable agricultural heritage.
We have a mantra at ABC called Living Local, and obviously it doesn't get much more local than a Lafargeville brand Zenda Farm cheese and a Coyote Moon wine, but what does Living Local mean for you and the Zenda Farms community?
Absolutely. I think that we see Zenda Farms as a place that's always been here for the community. When it was operating as a dairy farm, it was operating as a state-of-the-art dairy farm, really to be a great example for the agricultural community. There was a lot of work done with Cornell University just to make improvements in that sort of field. But on the other hand, or the other side of that really, was that when Merle Youngs was running this, all of his employees here were local people. And so to us, it was kind of his gift, we think, back to the Clayton community. And we want to make sure that this always stays a place for the community in perpetuity. So to us, that local feeling really is that we want to make sure Zenda Farms continues to be a place that honors our local agricultural producers, and is a place that every member of the community feels welcome and at home at.
Does Zenda Farms host any events, or do you guys have anything coming up here that people can get involved in and come up seeing this beautiful area?
Absolutely. We have a whole series of summer treks and events through the Thousand Islands Land Trust. We always kick off our summer with our Zenda Farms community picnic, and we have a great Arbor Day event in April. But looking ahead, on August 21st, that's a Tuesday at 5 p.m., we have our Burkhead Lecture Series, and that'll be featuring Sue Ryn Burns, who's a wildlife rehabilitator. So she'll be teaching people about what she does as a wildlife rehabilitator, as well as what you can do to help wildlife. And then we'll also have, in October, we'll be wrapping up our 4 Seasons in Nature yoga series in partnership with River Yoga. And we'll have a yoga session here at Zenda on Sunday, October 21st.
And if people want to get involved, if you guys are ever looking for volunteers, how can they get in contact with you?
So we have multiple Facebook pages. We have a Facebook page for the Thousand Islands Land Trust, as well as one specifically for Zenda Farms Preserve. We're also on Instagram for both Tilt and Zenda Farms. And on our website we have all the information about our events, the history of the preserve, etc. And that's at tilandtrust.org.